Hey, hi, it's Stephanie with This Reader's Life, Books and Other Blessings. I'm glad that you stopped by. Welcome or welcome back, as the case may be. And it is right around the 1st of June. And so May is all wrapped up, and June looks so interesting to me because there's more than one event that I'm kind of interested in. And I thought that I would sort of let these events that are going on also decide my TBRs for the um, for the month, although some of them may go beyond a month, and some of them are just possibilities. But there are three events that I know that I want to participate in. The first one is June on the Range. The second one is um, Big Books of Summer, and then the third one is Joy. No, June. Joy in June. Joy reading in June. There, I said it right, I think. Or Joy Reading June. So I'll mention each one as I go through the books that I've selected for it, and I'm excited about it because they all sound really interesting to me, and it makes it sort of guided for finding your to be reads, which narrows things down for me a little bit because there's always so many that I'd like to read. So the first category is going to be June on the Range, which is pretty much about reading Westerns. It was created by Michael K. Vaughan, 8617, and I know that there are several co-hosts, and I will try to list. I'm not sure who they all are, so I will try to find them and list them all below. However, this was created by Michael K. Vaughan, 8617, and again, this is about reading Westerns. And of course, anytime I think of a Western, I think of Louis L'Amour, who had so many books. He was such a prolific writer, and I don't know too much about him. I know that we donated all of my father-in-law. I think he had almost all of Louis L'Amour's books, and we donated a lot of those to the library. I think there was one library that told us we have too many to take. But anyway, they all got donated out. And he did not choose one of his books to read for June on the Range. So I'll go through the ones that I have chosen. But Louis L'Amour is just sort of a given. Maybe I'll go back and read some of his later. But the ones that I picked, I wanted to pick some that were maybe just a little bit more literary. The first one that I picked was called The Searchers, and it is by Alan LeMay. And it was written in 1954. The story takes place in the 1870s, and it's a story of two men who go searching. They have completely different agendas, but they go searching for a young little girl named Debbie who was kidnapped by the Comanches. Her parents were killed, and her whole family, other than her, is gone. The people that are searching for her, one is a boy named Martin, who he's coming up. He's maybe 18 years old, and he was raised by this family because his own family was killed in a massacre. But she would have been sort of like a little sister to him, although they did not bear any relationship at all. And he wasn't not really ever raised as a son. He knew that he was just being cared for by this family. The other individual is the little girl's uncle. And so this Debbie's father had a brother, and the brother is Amos. And Amos and Martin are the two main characters in this story. I know it's a 5-year search. And I have read just a little bit of it, and it reads so beautifully. So I'm excited to read it, and I will, when I review it, I'll let you know what I think about it. So the next one for June on the Range that I chose was Butcher's Crossing, is what it's called, and it was written by John Williams. And I don't really know anything at all about the author, other than he wrote the book Stoner, which I don't think was super popular when he wrote it, but it has become popular through the years. And I think Stoner is a person's name, but that's all I know about that. Butcher's Crossing was published in 1960, and it takes place in the 1870s, kind of the same as this other book. And it is about a young man in the East who is a student at Harvard, and he becomes sort of disenchanted with his education, and he's reading Ralph Waldo Emerson, who suggests that a person go out and find themselves. And he drops out of Harvard and goes to a small town in Kansas. And there in this small town of Kansas, and again, I've not read the book, this is just the synopsis that I read. There are a lot of men there that are sort of looking for different ways to make money. And what he ends up doing is going on a rumor. He goes with another gentleman to the Colorado Rockies to look for a huge buffalo herd that is supposed to be there. And then from there, I know that it is apparently it's not like a buffalo killing orgy, and they stay so long they get caught and they're snowed in for the winter. And when they apparently this young man undergoes some change, and so does the town when they return to the town. And that's all I know, is that when they do get back to this Kansas town after the big buffalo hunt or killing, they have there have been major changes in many ways. So I'm looking forward to that one. That is number 2 on my list. And then the third one that I chose was a book that was written after Lonesome Dove, that is the prequel to like the first book in the series, and it is Dead Man's Walk. And again, I don't know very much about this. What I do know is that Augustus McCrae and Woodrow Call, this is where they become Texas Rangers, and so I think they would be about 19 years old at this point. And I also know from reading just a couple of reviews that this is the book where Gus meets Clara. And so I'm looking it's a pretty big read. And another thing that I read, and this just seems impossible to me almost, is that Larry McMurtry's writing had become a little more advanced and sophisticated than it was at the time that he wrote Lonesome Dove. So I don't know if that means it was better or not, but I'm assuming not. But I'm really, really, really looking forward to read it. Larry McMurtry is a great writer, and the characters are so lovable. They're sort of embedded in our hearts through the years, between miniseries and the book that all that have read. I'm really looking forward to reading this one, so we'll see. So those are the 3 that I chose for June on the Range. The Big Books of Summer 2026. This is an event that was started, I think, quite some time ago, maybe more than 15 years, and maybe I'm thinking of something else, but it's Sue Jackson at Sue Jackson DE. She is the one that pretty much started this, and the goal of it's a really, really simple event. The goal is to read a big book during the summer, and a big book is the criteria for that per this particular event is that it have 400 pages or more. Doesn't matter what kind of book, it just has to have 400 pages or more. So I looked at my to-be-reads already for some big books, and then I also came across a couple of others watching other videos with people choosing their books. And the first one that I chose is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. And I don't know a lot about, I've read some John Steinbeck, but I have not read all of his books. I know that this one takes place in Salinas County, California, which is where it's an area that I think John Steinbeck lived in, and he definitely wrote about that in some other books. But this one is, it was published in 1952. It is well over 400 pages. It's about 600 pages. And it's about 2 families in California. And I think they're very different. It's also about 2 brothers in the area, and they say that it's sort of a retelling of the rivalry between Cain and Abel, which would be from Genesis in the Bible. So, and I know that many years ago, I saw part of a series that I think someone in my family was watching that had Jane Seymour in it, and she played a part called Kathy. And that is, I think that those 2 boys, the rivalry will be in regards to Kathy, but I don't know that for sure. So I'm looking really, really forward to East of Eden. It's such a classic, and I've had it recommended to me many times and I've just never picked it up. The next book for my big books is a book by Elizabeth Gaskell. Again, I've not read Elizabeth Gaskell, and this book was published in 1866. So it's been around for a while. It's one of those that's considered a classic. It's Wives and Daughters. I think I'm saying that right. It's not Daughters and Wives. It is. Let's make sure that I'm telling you the truth, because I'm not super familiar. It's Wives and Daughters. It has 679 pages, and it is a story about a small town, country type town, in a country. Let me look and see what it says. It says it's an English country town during the 1830s, and the story centers on a young girl named Molly Gibson, who starts out when she's about 12 years old, and it goes on from there. I'm not exactly sure everything about it. I know that she begins the book motherless. Her father is a doctor, and he remarries, and so she will have a stepmother. And I believe it's sort of about the relationship between Molly and her stepmother. And I don't know the whole story. What I did read is that Elizabeth Gaskell, this was her last book, and she passed away before she finished the book. At the time that it was published, it says that the publisher included sort of a note that explained how Gaskell intended for the book to end. And then from reading a couple of reviews of people that read it, they said it doesn't matter, that it doesn't matter, that it's still a very, very good book, and it's certainly worth reading, regardless of the fact that Gaskell couldn't finish it. And I'm so curious to see what that looks like, because to me, an unfinished book is an unfinished book. But the third book that I chose is a book of almost 1,000 pages. I think it's 997 pages long. And I found this in my bookshelves, and I don't have a lot of books. I did keep some of my mother-in-law's books after she passed away, and this is one that I sat on, and it's called Sarum, and it's by Edward Rutherford, and it's Sarum, the novel of England. It is a heck of a novel here. And it's Edward Rutherford. And at the bottom of this, let me put my glasses on so I can tell you what it says. It's tiny print. It says special advance complimentary copy, not for sale. And inside of this book, it came with this, which is sort of it's a trifold. Let me unfold it here. I think this is how it's supposed to look. It looks like this, and it opens up. And it's sort of an advertisement or promotional information for bookstores. And on the back here, there is a map of Sarum, which I think is really interesting. I don't know how well you guys can see it. But this was just tucked inside of this book. On the front here, it says it's an uncorrected proof. Sarum. It's Crown Publishers Incorporated, New York. And this would have been in 1987. And this story tells the story of the Salisbury portion of England. I don't know English geography well. And it includes information about Stonehenge, but it starts even earlier than that, around I think it's the Paleo period, and it's just the end of that, and then the monolithic period is the next thing, the people, and it's after the ending of an ice age, and the waters are rising, and things are warming, and things are changing. I know that's where it starts. It's a fictional account, but everything is supposed to be geographically and historically correct as much as possible, obviously, and that it goes through until, I don't know, someplace much more modern. So it's a big read. The other thing I thought was kind of interesting, and again, I don't know where my mother-in-law or my father-in-law got this, but this little postcard was inside of the book. Maybe like someone used it as a bookmark, but it is a postcard of Salisbury Cathedral. which is located in Salisbury, or Salisbury. I don't know exactly how I'm supposed to say that word exactly, but it's a magnificent cathedral that I don't know when it was built or anything. There might be something here on the back, but I thought it was interesting that it was in there. I don't know if I know that they visited England, so I don't know if they picked up this book or somehow ended up with this book while they were there, or if it was gifted to them, or how they ended up with the advanced copy. I don't know how they got it, but I'm looking forward to reading it, and I wish that someone had made a note or something in it. I don't know if it's ever, the spine's been cracked a little bit, so I'm going to assume somebody read it at some point. And then the fourth book that I considered for big reads, and again, big books of summer, that's a lot to read in 90 days. But I also considered, if for some reason one of these doesn't work out, or every now and then you don't finish something, I also want to read The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, but I don't know if I'm going to get to that. So it's a classic that I feel like I would really like to have read. The last thing, and this is something I'm really looking forward, because it's kind of something I decided after my reading in May. Some of my reading in May was quite depressing and disturbing to me, and I didn't enjoy everything that I read in May, and so I didn't finish a couple of them because they weren't for me. So I said to myself, in May I want to read happy books, and then I found that I'm trying to find the name of the site that I found it at was Spread Book Joy, and it's Joyful Reading June, and it's in memory of the Joyful Reading June event is in memory of a booktuber named Alice, who had a channel at Alice and the Giant Bookshelf, and she has passed away. And I'm not familiar with the story of Alice or her channel, but a good many people in memory of her have started Joyful Reading June, and I think she started it originally. But the books that I chose for joyful reading, which in a way sounds better to me than happy. To me, there's a difference between happy and joyful has so much more value to it, and sort of an everlasting power to it, whereas happy is a little bit superficial and maybe not as lasting. So these are the books that I've chosen, and I have not read any of these. The first one is Theo of Golden by Alan Levi, and my understanding about this book is that the author self-published it, and it was really kind of word of mouth that caused this book to become so popular, and that then it was eventually picked up by a New York publisher or something to that effect. But this is Theo of Golden is about a gentleman named Theo, an older gentleman, I think he's about 86, who goes to a town with, I think he has a specific purpose, but I don't know what the purpose is. And the town is Golden, and it's a town in the south someplace, I think Georgia. And he visits a coffee shop there, and he sees a series of portraits that have been hung in this coffee shop. There are 92 portraits. They're pencil drawings done by a very good artist, and they are for sale. And Theo begins buying them and gifting them to the individual whose portrait it is. So he finds out all of this information by talking to the coffee shop owner, but that's what he does, and I do not know where the story goes from there. I just know that it's considered a heartwarming, uplifting story, and just the premise of buying something and gifting it to the person that it was drawn of is really interesting to me, and I wonder about how that could spread joy, or maybe not, but I'm just very interested to see what this one's about. It says that it has a strong theme of anonymous kindness, and the idea of anonymous kindness is just lovely to me. I think it's such a good idea. It makes me want to think of things that I could do for others that they would never know, and especially since this is, well, I guess there is a monetary element to it, but I'm interested to read it. So the next book, the second book for Joyful Reading June, is The Authenticity Project. It is by Claire Pooley. I don't know her writing. I don't know what kind of an author she is or what she normally writes, but this is, again, a heartwarming story, and it says it's about a green notebook and 6 strangers, and that it leads to friendship and love. And it talk in the synopsis that I read, it talks about a green notebook that is sort of passed around and left in places for people to find. I'm not sure that I'm understanding that part exactly, and also that it kind of takes on the idea that we view most people that we don't know when we see them as relatively happy, or that they portray themselves. You put on a good face, or if you think about social media and how people portray themselves on Facebook, you always put your best forward. You brag about your kids, but you don't talk about the crummy stuff. So it's maybe wrong to assume that everything's okay with most of the people that you look at when you're standing in line at the grocery store. So I thought that sounded like an interesting premise, and to develop some kind of a project with a notebook and people writing things down and telling their true feelings. It just sounds really interesting to me. So that is another one that I chose for Joyful Reading in June. And then the last one is, I'm guessing you're going to see this quite a bit in June, but you're going to see it a lot anyway because it's so popular right now. And that is The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. I am on volume 5 right now. There are 8 volumes available. They're written by Beth Brower. There's supposed to be more to come. And I'm listening to them on Audible. I think they're wonderfully narrated, and I enjoy it so much. I like to listen to it while I'm walking. I truly, truly love Emma M. Lyon, which is it's journal entries from a young woman in England in the 1880s. And to me, those books are just simply magic. So until we talk again, please remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, be kind to the planet, and be blessed. And you all have a good day. Bye-bye.